no longer around. But the doctors and nurses could not understand as the ambulance sped so as not to compound what they've done to stop all these sounds that are loud. Thomas Orchard no longer around.
This is the story of a young man with schizophrenia who, we've now learned, handcuffed and legs bound, had a restraining belt fastened around his face and then lost consciousness. His was a life, in the words of his mother, fragmented by the ravages of mental illness. It was October last year and the 32-year-old had just finished a stint at the Exeter church where he worked part-time as a caretaker. There'd been a rapid decline in his mental health, we're told. He walked at pace into the city centre and soon became aggressive, remonstrating, it's understood, with another man. The police were called.
What do you understand happened on the 3rd of October?
Tom's mental health had deteriorated quite significantly, and he was seen approaching people in the city centre and behaving hugely erratically.
Around half a dozen officers turned up. Thomas Orchard was placed on the ground. Limb restraints, we understand, were applied, and he was arrested on suspicion of a public order offence. He was taken to this nearby police station. The limited public account until now had been that Mr. Orchard was soon found unresponsive in his cell and then taken to intensive care where he never regained consciousness. Thomas Orchard, handcuffed and legs bound, had what's called an emergency response belt fastened around his face. This is how it's normally used, shown off 13 years ago by the first force in the UK to adopt it. But in Mr. Orchard's case, it wasn't strapped around his chest or his legs. Rather, it was applied to his face to try to stop him spitting or biting.
Kneeling on the floor, a detention officer is handed a restraint belt. He places it across the face of Thomas Orchard before he's carried to a police cell. The 32-year-old has been lying on his front, his arms and legs tied, for more than 15 minutes already. It is another 5 minutes before the restraints and the belt around his head are removed. And it's a further 12 minutes before officers return to his cell to check on him. By then, it was too late. Mr. Orchard had suffered a cardiac arrest. He never regained consciousness and died a week later. Last year, in a landmark conviction, Devon and Cornwall police were fined almost £235,000 after admitting health and safety breaches. It followed an independent Office for Police Conduct investigation into Mr. Orchard's death. This is the emergency response belt that was put over Thomas Orchard's face. He was described as fit and physically healthy before he was detained, and his family say such a device should never have been used on him.
It's now emerged the police watchdog, the IPCC, wrote to every chief constable in England and Wales in the month following Mr. Orchard's death. So concerned was it by the use of these belts around people's heads.
3 of the officers involved in the death were charged with gross negligence manslaughter. Their 6-week trial began in February 2017 at Bristol Crown Court. In a shocking blow to Thomas's family, all 3 men would be found not guilty.
And today, all 3 defendants found not guilty of manslaughter. Now, Thomas Orchard was just 32. He was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, and he was arrested in Exeter town centre in 2012 on suspicion of a public order offence. It was reported he was shouting and threatening members of the public. Now, he was taken to Heavytree Police Station, where one of these, an emergency response belt, was placed around his face for a period of 5 minutes.
As a jury today cleared them, Mr. Orchard's parents said the verdict gave them no sense of justice.
The change we want most is in the attitude of the police, particularly towards those with mental health vulnerabilities. The pain of the past 4.5 years has diminished us, and today is a huge setback. But on behalf of those vulnerable people, and in memory of our lovely Tom, our fight for truth and transparency continues.
What's your reaction for the family?
I'm very sorry for the family. Very sorry for the family.
And your message to Mrs. Orchard?
I've made an offer to speak to her, if she wants to.
And what's this been like for you the last few years?
Horrendous. It's been horrendous for everybody.
Now, Thomas's family are calling for changes to the way that police deal with people who have mental health issues. They say they are still shocked with the verdicts today. I should also mention these belts are no longer used by police forces across England and Wales, especially not around the face. So that is a change that's been implemented as a result of this particular case.
Today, a Devon and Cornwall Police custody sergeant and 2 police staff custody detention officers were found not guilty of gross negligence manslaughter following a 6-week trial at Bristol Crown Court. I fully recognise the impact of these long-running and difficult proceedings upon the family of Mr. Thomas Orchard, his loved ones and friends, with whom my thoughts and condolences remain. The trial has followed an independent police complaints investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of Mr. Thomas Orchard in October 2012, following his detention at Heavytree Police Station nearly 4.5 years ago. The investigation and criminal proceedings has had a significant impact on all 3 Devon and Cornwall Police colleagues, Sergeant Jan Kingshott and detention officers Simon Tansley and Mick Marsden. That impact has also fallen on their families. All 3 colleagues and other members of the force involved in this matter have maintained their professionalism throughout.
Now, I don't know if it's just me, but when I hear this, it comes across as a little bit tone deaf. Intentionally, or through sheer stupidity, their actions killed someone. And let's hope them maintaining their professionalism didn't involve smothering anyone else to death. Remember, these officers took a physically fit 32-year-old man into custody, and he was essentially dead within that same hour. They should be in prison, so I'm really struggling to find any sympathy for them. An inquest in 2023 concluded that the belt may have caused or contributed to the death. Pathologist Dr. Russell Delaney testified that Thomas Orchard died from severe brain injury caused by lack of oxygen. Speaking on the use of the ERB, his word salad, incredibly non-committal answer was, "I believe it is not possible to say that it must have made a contribution, but you can't exclude that possibility." Yeah, thanks for your wonderful insight there, Doctor.
I'm angry, I'm despairing, I'm broken, but more than anything, I'm really sad that Thomas's death has been in vain. In fact, it actually feels worse than that. It feels that the message that's come across is that police officers can behave in a way that we certainly feel to be grossly wrong, can go unchecked.
I'm disgusted that despite Devon and Cornwall Police being instructed to hold a tribunal, that tribunal is never going to happen. This is the end of it. are not so much concerned with seeing these individual officers prosecuted, not so concerned with seeing them lose their job. I just want to see that proper investigation is done into this sort of incident. I just want to see that somebody takes responsibility, and that once somebody's taken responsibility, change can happen, so that other families don't have to go through the hell that we've been through over the last 7 years.
As the ERB was strapped around the face of Thomas, there were 8 officers in attendance that I could see from the footage. In my opinion, if none of these officers could see the risk caused by doing that, they're either incredibly stupid or completely incompetent. Either way, they're not fit to be wearing the uniform. All 8 of these individuals were complicit in Thomas Orchard's killing. The fact no officers received any sanctions, demotions, lost their job, or served any prison time is absolutely ludicrous and a damning indictment on the British legal system, as well as Devon and Cornwall Police. There's absolutely no question, at least some of these men deserve significant time behind bars, as they were so clearly responsible for the death of a troubled man who was in their care. Tragically, Thomas Orchard and his loved ones, at every turn, have been constantly denied any kind of justice they so rightly deserved.